Okay guys, if you're Stranger Things fans, we're at our first haunted house site, and it won best theme, and it's Stranger Things. There's Hopper looking thinner than normally. Castle Byers. Look at the upside down tree. Oh, that's cool. Oh, and they got the music playing. The rotted pumpkins from season 2. I know my shit. So this one is voted scariest house.
You're gonna cry.
Whoa, what's that thing, like 15 feet high?
That's the same one.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
It's an elaborate coffin.
Yo, that looks like the Pet Cemetery baby. Oh, and then they got the upside down body. And, oh, holy shit! Holy shit!
I did not expect that.
I didn't think it was gonna move.
That thing scared the shit out of me. So this is interesting. This is a haunted gymnasium of the dead. See, you got the basketball. Wow. I like the yoga mat. That's a good one. This person's trying to do pull-ups. So this house was fucking legit as fuck last year. And they weren't up for any awards, but they won best, what's this one, Josh? Best clown?
Hey, welcome. Thank you for coming. We're making some fresh popcorn if anyone's interested. I got candy for the kids if your mom and dad are okay with it.
So this is the Pumpkin-O-Rama, or whatever. What's it called, Josh? Pumpkin Mania? Pumpkin-tastic. So it's how many pumpkins can you put? Oh, look at I'm trying to see if any of them are actually real, but it doesn't look like it. There's a lot though. It goes all the way around. Oh yeah. That is a lot of work. Someone who's got artistic skills for sure. Not just throwing stuff up.
All right, Dawn of the Dead 3D. That was badass. What a fun time for Halloween.
Dawn of the Dead in 3D. Funny, exciting, entertaining.
Hadn't seen this in, I don't know, a million years. And it was just it was a blast. Lives up to everything that people say about this movie.
Funny, entertaining, exciting. Love it. Love it.
One thing that I guess was surprising, it reminded me of a Wes Anderson movie, if Wes Anderson had made a horror movie.
I left something in the theater, so now I'm in here alone. Nothing spooky about this.
Where's the boy?
Three, two, one. Oh my God! Oh my God!
It's working well enough. Right, that works pretty good. Bubba! Mixeroo! Slasher! Heck yeah! I love it, I love it, I love it.
The name of this game is Slash and Go Seek, but there are only so many places you can hide. The slasher movie selected for this Halloween mixer is MadHouse, and this one's gonna take a bite out of your senses. Gotcha.
Cheers!
Cheers!
Cheers! Happy Halloween!
Welcome out there. Get ready to get scared.
Our party is just beginning. You can't leave yet.
I picked a film from 1981 called MadHouse. This was a movie from 1981, but it didn't get released in America till 1983. But it has a very early 80s feel, and that's what I liked about this a lot.
Me too.
It's 80s vibe. It's just that gritty. It's not a grindhouse film. In fact, it feels a little bit like a giallo film.
Totally. Perfect description.
The director actually is Italian.
Oh, forget about Everybody!
The director, we've talked about him once before when we talked about James Cameron making Piranha 2. This is Assonitis. I forget his first name,
Yeah,
but
Assonitis.
some guy Assonitis who fired James Cameron while making Piranha 2. He did the same thing on this movie. He hired an American director and halfway through fired him and took over the directing duties. But on this film, I think he did a pretty good job. I actually think the direction is really good in this movie.
I agree, and that's the Giallo thing is perfect because it even has everything down to when the tension rises, you get that bass thump.
Yeah, boom,
Bam,
boom.
bam. Kind of kills some of the tension, but it also it adds a little bit of comedy too. But yeah, this was a scary one with really creepy vibes and creepy atmosphere and twists and turns and decent characters that get some. Like the boyfriend, for instance, they really spend time on his character, so you're like, oh,
Dennis
he's not
Farina.
gonna make it. Yeah, Dennis Farina.
Dennis Farina's mustache does a great job in this movie.
Yeah, I took his mustache.
They say the fucking smog is the fucking reason you have such beautiful fucking sunsets.
The leads, the main actress, she's really good and has some really great dramatic moments in the film. A lot of the other characters, I think the side characters are a lot of fun, but they're pretty much over the top. The priest, the landlady, the handyman,
the blonde friend. The handyman was obnoxious.
Yeah, they're all a bit over the top, but they fill their roles well, and the scenes that they're involved in, whether it's being stalked by a mad killer or whatever, they worked well in those scenes, and those scenes were still really intense.
A woman who has a haunted past with a twin sister. And the twin sister was, I guess it'd be too light to call her a bully. She was horrible.
On our birthdays, she had this special ceremony. She had a dog. She could just lift her hand and he would obey, circling around my bed as I hid under the covers. She'd whisper, "Why should I have to share my life with you?"
She just hated the fact that she had another that was like her.
Yeah.
She wanted to be alone. And some of the stuff that she does, that she talks about, there's a great monologue where she talks about these horrific things that her twin sister does to her with her dog. The evil twin sister sort of resurfaces with some sort of like psoriasis or something, or
some kind of skin problem.
Yeah, and it really worries our heroine.
She had got away from her abusive sister when her mother died. Their uncle, who's a priest, took care of the other sister, the mentally ill sister, and she's been in a mental hospital for at least 10 years or so, and this is now the first time that the main character, I don't remember these people's names.
No.
I want to say it might be Julia or something.
Slasher movie.
The main chick is reconnecting with her sister, and that is an early creepy scene when she goes to the hospital to see her for the first time.
Dude, that is the creepiest fucking hospital room I've ever seen. That looked like a morgue.
Yeah.
I shoot in morgues. It looks like a morgue. It looks like a very low budget morgue. It was just like big plastic sheets up all over. Like, were there other patients in beds?
I didn't get that anyone else was in that room.
It was very strange.
But then you go into your basic slasher, they reconnect, and then shortly after, you find out that crazy sister has escaped the hospital. People around our main character, the other sister, start dying in a slasher way. And that pretty much just takes us to our twists and turn reveals at the end of the movie.
Well, and it all takes place in this really sort of like a brownstone, like Victorian quadplex. Like there's like 4 or 5 units in it, and it's some of the really creepy stuff in the movie is the way you don't really know the geography or the layout of it. And that's what I appreciate so much about this movie is it has that atmospheric creepiness to the look of everything.
Yeah, the cinematography really stands out as one of the best parts of this movie. I think the lighting and the color, the use of color in the movie, that's another thing that for me stood out to make it kind of giallo. It has a lot of colorful stuff, but then a lot of really dark stuff with one kind of deep focus scenes and stuff. I just think everything is shot beautifully and framed really well in this movie for a low budget slasher of the early 80s.
Now this movie's got some great creepy kills. It's got some gruesome dog kills, but don't worry, I never found this movie, as someone that loves animals, I didn't find it odd in that way or uncomfortable because it's very goofy and it's very over the top, but those ones are fine, but the straight up murder with knife ones are scarier to me. And they do, for a movie that says it has no rating, They do kill a young boy off screen.
Off screen.
But they do kill him, which try doing that now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the kills in this movie, the dog kills are kind of the most gruesome standout ones. They linger on the person's face in a long period where you watch the life leave their body.
Yes.
Which sometimes in a movie like Halloween Kills, it's just torture porn at that. It goes on too long just to watch somebody suffer.
Yeah.
This doesn't go on too long, but it does go on longer than your average slash, dead. And the dog scenes are gruesome. The knife scenes, there's a couple that are good and a couple that are kind of cheapened.
They're very cheap, yeah.
But even in one of the ones that's kind of cheapened, which is the landlady, you still get kind of a cool little giallo moment with like the way the color is, and she's kind of obscured by this colorful.
That whole scene of him kind of stalking her and playing with her and knowing where she was going to go was so frightening.
Yeah.
Like just thinking about her. And everyone in this movie is really stupid. The dumbest of dumb idiots you'll ever see. They're all stupid. But it's great. That's what makes it fun. The dog dying and cracking through the door I was laughing out loud because it's a puppet.
The dog doing his best Jack Torrance.
It looked like it was literally Jack Torrance, but it looked like Triumph the Insult Comic Dog coming through.
Yes.
For me to poop on.
And often you see the puppet, being used in these scenes, whether it's ripping the person's throat out or the dog having a drill drilled into its head.
If you don't like puppet cruelty, then you won't like this movie because there is a big drill that gets drilled into a dog puppet's head.
Well, what did you think of Uncle Priest character?
Probably, it's hard to say because the last act of the movie hinges on this guy. He was great as the background guy that he was for the first 2/3, as just this kind of really creepy uncle that was also a priest, because he said things, and that's kind of a good part of the script, is that it did kind of drop in little hints that he was a creepy guy, but the way his character shifts so quickly, and then he's just so obnoxious and no longer that person at all. I didn't get the motivation.
Yeah, the switch at the end, it's still all the way to the final frame. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, the motivation of the priest uncle turning out to be a killer as well. This is an early version of a movie that had 2 killers.
Yeah,
there were 2 killers.
If there was like a line where it's like he fell in love with his other niece or something, and they started doing this together, something really morbid.
Something more than a quote at the end that says, "Not every story is resolved."
There's no explanation as to why this uncle priest had sided with the deranged, ugly sister to torture and brutalize, and I don't know.
But I find his performance fascinating.
Me too.
There's something about him, like you said, he comes across as caring and loving, but there's a creepy undertone to it in the first 2/3 of the film, and then he just goes bonkers over the top in the final act. But it's really funny. When one explanation, he's like showing all the dead people, "Oh, you might wonder why we're dressed in birthday hats and here attending this birthday party." Well, this movie is leading up to my birthday and my twin sister's birthday. And so the end of the film, much like another film from 1981, Happy Birthday to Me, they have the same ending where everybody that's been killed off in the film is around a birthday table at the end of the movie. You get the same thing here. It's really creepy. It's just such a fucked up birthday party.
It's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre-ish, where
Yes.
he's torturing and tormenting the woman that he's forcing to sit at the table with a bunch of dead bodies and having a blast doing it.
Yeah.
It felt like Texas Chainsaw.
Along with the sister, she's got a creepy monologue in that scene too about wanting to become twins again, even though she's now deformed.
Yeah.
So she's going to deform her sister to make her look like her now.
Yeah, that's a great monologue.
That's
She's
a
like,
great
"You're right,
monologue.
I can't look like you, but you can look like me."
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
The boyfriend showing up at the end of the movie, he comes back because he lost his
Dumbest idiot
his
in the
speech.
world, thinking that he could put a stack of loose paper on top of a car.
So his speech flies away and he has to return home, thankfully, to save the day. But what he walks into is this scene of insanity.
Yeah.
And he gets attacked by the dog and has to fend off the dog in the door and drill through its head.
Well, let's go back a second. He's so dropped into this world of insanity. He has the one up on the killer, but he's so like, what the fuck is going on? He manages to get disarmed and completely become one of the captors.
Yeah, which was a bit annoying. When Julia is able to turn the tables on the priest and get him with an axe, I believe, in his back and just hack and hack and hack. It goes on for a while. There's a pretty good amount of blood and gore in that scene. They cut to Dennis Farina's character, and he just has this look of shock on his face while he's watching her hatchet him.
Bitch, are you for real?
Just through his fucking utter creepiness through the whole movie. Like talking about like their father's seed and just a bunch of creepy stuff. You know, you could take your Christian Bales, like I almost, and people could laugh at me when they watch this. I was thinking about Christian Bale from American Psycho when I was watching this guy in the last half of this, or the last third of this movie, because this guy just went so all in.
See such a sight. I invited all friends.
It's like some throwaway slasher movie from 1981, but is that to discredit his performance? I think he was pretty great.
Yeah, I think he was pretty great. I find it fascinating.
He was terrifying.
That's great, you know, thinking of how that, fits with like Christian Bale's performance. All he needed was some Huey Lewis in the News.
Yeah.
You mentioned a child dies in this movie. Well, the reason this child is in the movie is the main character, Julia, we're gonna call her, is a teacher.
Just call her Sally Ann Kavanaugh.
Is a teacher at a school for the deaf. And so this little boy that does get killed in the movie by the dog is one of her deaf students who's kind of fallen in love with her, and there's a couple good scenes where they bond. But when she has to go tell the rest of the students about little Timmy or whatever's death, like the next day after it happened,
It's the same day.
or like the same day. That part's a little weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
But man, that's a touching, emotional scene, and they actually have 4 or 5 deaf children playing the role of hearing
Those
about
kids are great.
their friend dying, and they do seem traumatized. Like it's hitting them pretty hard, and I don't, that's probably the only acting any of these kids have ever done, but it's very believable, I think, in that scene. And for the lead, Julia, she does a really great job of expressing that, like not wanting to give details to these young children, but having to express the horrors of what happened to this child.
And that's one thing. This movie's called MadHouse, and if you look at the cover of it or the poster, it does look 80s cheese. It's got like a silhouette of a woman and an evil dog at the top of a staircase. But I gotta say, the scene John's talking about, this movie took the time to like have her go back to her students and talk about this kid's death. And they didn't show the kid's death, which is classy. Even though they did do it. They did do it. But the thing the touching thing for me was how it could have been one of those movies where every kid's like, I didn't like Tommy anyway. They cut to every one of these deaf kids to say something really sweet and nice about him.
Yes.
And I was like, wow,
Really
because then it ups the stakes on like this person will just sick their dog on fucking anything.
Yeah.
Funny story. Even though he was deaf, he wasn't afraid of new things.
But that scene right in the middle of the movie really ups that ante and puts that emotional depth to it.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about this, that it wasn't just a standard slasher. It had other elements that actually worked well. Any movie where you got a Rottweiler as your slasher weapon, that's interesting. That's a little different.
Yeah,
than your standard
a killer's mind who has this animal to do that to someone, and there's some great disturbing dialogue about how she can control this animal to do whatever she wants, but also decides to sometimes just stab motherfuckers. She's a crazy bitch. There's a ton of like psycho imagery in this movie, just done with different lighting and different techniques, but fun movie. I am so glad John selected slasher and found this one, and we both really liked it. That's always a great start to the Halloween season.
For sure.
The mixer.
All right, well now it's time to sing Happy Birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday.
Okay, so what happened to the lady when she didn't pay her exorcist on Halloween? Her house got repossessed. No? Okay. All right, well, you know what is funny is Bubba Ho-Tep. That's our comedy horror this year. Check it out.
Goons and goblins ahoy! Oh, come on, baby! Horror comedy. Oh, we never picked that one before.
That is new.
Horror
Excellent.
comedy.
Never fuck with the king.
Cheers, monkey.
Cheers. Hell yeah.
You can do anything that you wanna do, but bitch, lay off of my shoes. All right, man, let's go.
We're going to talk about Bubba Ho-Tep from 2002. Horror comedy classic. This is the director of Phantasm 2. I forget his name, but that's a classic, and so is this. They're classics for different reasons. This one is a Bruce Campbell showcase. This is one of Bruce Campbell's best performances ever. Bruce Campbell can do a lot of things, but he doesn't get to show a dramatic range in many movies, but in this one he does, and it really impressed me.
I agree with you, baby. I agree with you.
If you don't know much about Bubba Ho-Tep, it's a movie where Elvis, JFK, the Lone Ranger team up together to fight a Egyptian mummy in a nursing home in Texas. If you're intrigued, go out and watch it right now.
And this nursing home's got some amazing dames in it, let me tell you. There's a woman, a nurse woman in this movie who's so attractive and so interesting, I'd let her give me a on the second day.
You were an Elvis impersonator. You fell off a stage and broke your hip?
What does she do to your pecker? Please tell us.
She gets rid of the growth on my pecker. The second time, she laid antibacterial cream on it. It worked out just great. Just saying.
This takes place in a nursing home in Texas. Bruce Campbell, the star of the show here, he's just so awesome playing Elvis. I could watch this guy play Elvis for all eternity. He's just everything he does, the way he gyrates, does his taking care of business karate with when he's fending off the bad guys.
Even with a bad back and a bad hip.
Yeah, bad hip.
I'll be damned if I let some foreign graffiti writing, soul sucking son of a bitch in an oversized cowboy hat and boots take my friends' souls and shit them down the visitor's toilet.
Comedy gold. This movie, it's not strong on the horror element, but it is certainly a horror. There's some deaths, some kills. There's a mummy in it, so you definitely have your classic horror monster element.
Well, what does Bruce Campbell do better than fought the undead?
You bastards! Why are you torturing me like this? Why?
There's some big bugs in here, goddammit. It said, how big is it? Big fuckers, like it's
big damn bugs, right? The size of my fist, size of a peanut butter banana sandwich, man.
What do I care? I got a growth on my pecker.
Attention to detail and spectacle of him getting a boner for the first time in 10 years. And he just looks at her like, fuck yeah, baby.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my...
This beautiful hillbilly woman, my favorite kind, comes down in and he's like, hey, she ain't no Priscilla. And she's like, I'm just here for my father's shit. Bubble pop. And then she bends over and you get to see what is on next to every picture on my Instagram feed. The strong points of the movie are so much more about the themes and the message and the meaning of like getting old and being obsolete and becoming invisible as a person.
Yes.
And who better to showcase that than the king, who loses his identity but still now is back in a position to tell people who he is and no one even knows who that is or cares. The way that this girl that he knows, I think he even makes him, I could have banged her in my day or whatever. Like, she just sees him as just like this miserable old fucking senile piece of shit.
Yeah, he's looking at her bending over and he's like, my pecker fluttered once. It's like a pigeon having a heart attack.
Almost it's like Charles Bukowski wrote the screenplay to this movie.
But yeah, I agree with you, like the themes of getting older and, you know, basically dying alone in this very lonely place. You're forgotten by your family in the situation with Elvis. I don't know if we made it clear, Elvis did give up his identity. He was tired of the fame, and so instead of Elvis dying like we all think happened, because everyone seems to think Elvis might still be alive, well, this is the movie that tells where Elvis really is, that he didn't die, that he switched places with an Elvis impersonator, who a couple years later did die of an overdose. So that guy's dead. The real Elvis is living in a nursing home. His contract where he could switch back if he wanted, or keep track of still having some fortune, blew up in a barbecue accident. Yeah, at a trailer home. So he lost his opportunity to switch back if he ever wanted to. He just had to go on living as this Sebastian Haff, a Elvis impersonator. And he was having fun doing that, but then he broke his hip. And he ended up in a nursing home, and he's been there for 20 years.
He was basically getting the same amount of poontang just being an impersonator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The one other friend he seems to have
Ozzie Davis
in this nursing home is JFK, the president, JFK.
Played by the late great Ozzie Davis.
Played by Ozzie Davis.
He is I mean, Bruce Campbell is the best, but goddamn, Ozzie Davis is so interesting.
Ozzie's a great performance in this movie. He believes he is JFK, and that after being shot in Dallas, they replaced his brain with a bag of sand.
But he's the one that has all the theories about what's going on with this Ho-Tep and this zombie in this mental hospital. We don't really know if what this zombie wants is what he's telling us, but it does kind of like make sense. He's just like, you know, it eats the soul, so then it's shitting souls, you know, and it takes a long shit for some of these souls. Like, and it's a simple thing about what like a Ho-Tep zombie would want to do and why they'd want a nursing home. And he's your expository dialogue, and he just does it with such conviction.
Yes.
And he's having so much fucking fun. Like, Ozzie Davis is one of those guys that was an old man for like 50 years. You just felt like he was playing old guys forever. And then, I mean, he kind of goes out like a biatch, unfortunately.
Yeah, the whole ending is
very, like,
lackluster.
For sure.
I mean,
it was supposed to be that way.
It's two senior citizens fighting a mummy, you know.
That's why it's not exciting.
One of them's in a wheelchair, so he's not even mobile. The other one's using a walker.
Well, can we just talk about how amazing the score is?
Yes.
The score has no business being this fucking good. You could argue it takes itself so seriously, at the same time it's aware it's taking itself seriously.
Yes.
That's the whole purpose. And like, even when Campbell is telling the story about his entourage and going in, like those slow motion.
Yeah, they've got like kind of it's kind of a Western, but mixed with like what Elvis in the 70s music would sound like.
It's very epic.
It's like an epic Western kind of Elvis sound, and it's used perfectly. They use that same music again when the two old guys have geared up and ready to go fight the mummy, and they're coming down the hall. But it's not slow motion. It's just that they walk so slow that it feels like a slow motion shot. So I said Bruce Campbell is the standout of this movie. He's a superstar in this movie. His performance feels very real for being an old man. You really feel the age on him. The makeup job is what it is. It does kind of stand out as like you totally see like the lines on his chin. It's not great makeup, but he becomes Elvis. He becomes Elvis at that age that you could picture. This is what Elvis would be like at that age. And he does such a good job of just playing the old elements that you know, because Ozzie Davis is really kind of that old. Bruce Campbell is not, but they're like a perfect match for being two old men in the film. But my God, the score is like right there next to Bruce Campbell as a major reason to see this movie, a reason why this movie is awesome. It's got, as you said, like that cool Western kind of Elvis-y music they use in certain scenes. But then it also has, like, in the action scenes, it has, like, heavy metal music. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But the sentimental side of the score, that's the part that gets me every time. We were talking about, like, when Ozzie Davis's character has his last few words and lets Elvis know he's got to be the one to save the day, it is really touching, and really the sentimental side of the score finds a way to make so many moments in this movie touching, even though it is a very silly and goofy movie on its whole and its premise.
Moments that, like you said, Bruce Campbell's performance, the tenderness of the two actors, and the energy they have, and then just, God, when that music kicks in, just in these odd, slow moments.
Moments when Elvis is thinking about his past with his daughter or Priscilla, you know, how he's kind of lost touch with his family, how they think he's dead and he has no way to really let them know he's alive. Those are all, you don't expect those moments to hit the way they do, but I think the score, I think Bruce's performance and the score, hand in hand, make those moments work so well.
Ozzie Davis's JFK dies, and Bruce Campbell does his little salute thing to him. It brings in an orchestral, like, what do you call it? It brings in the choir.
Yeah.
The choir thing makes it even sadder and more epic. Like, now I have to go do this myself, you know?
Well, and then you get to the final frames of the movie. Hopefully we're not spoiling too much for you, but Elvis, who's defeated the mummy, has been mortally injured. He's laying on the side of a riverbank.
Folks up there, Shady Rest. They have theirs too. And they're gonna keep him.
To be honest, it brought a tear to my eye while watching it this past week. I seriously was saddened by watching Bruce Campbell, whether he's Sebastian Haff or Elvis, his life slip away from him, knowing all the regrets he had and the things that he couldn't change in his life, and where, you know, how sad the ending of his life was, just wasting away in this old folks home. But he knows that he saved everyone else at the old folks home, and he sees this message in the stars that says all is well. And I'm seriously about to cry right now.
But he does end it with, thank you. Thank you very much. The editor's decision to cut the movie and stop flat right there was perfect, because there's nothing more that needs to be said. You're only following Bruce Campbell in this movie. He's never not unframed.
If evil is your dark design, you can bet the goodness of the light ones will kick your bad behind. He's like, damn it, that doesn't even rhyme well. What the hell?
This is a great horror comedy choice because it's not scary, but I do like the design of the Ho-Tep zombie. It's cool. They don't show it very much because budget, but it's interesting looking. It reminds me of something I've seen before, and I can't quite place it. Maybe House 2.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
especially with the cowboy hat.
Yeah.
It's kind of reminiscent of House 2.
Yeah, except that's played totally for comedy.
Totally goofy, yeah. The guys who did the makeup are like the Walking Dead guys, Nicotero or whatever, Greg Nicotero or something like that.
Okay.
That's who I saw in the credits as makeup guys.
There's a couple scenes you can tell that they're kind of them because they love to stretch the mouths, and there's that one zombie close-up where he's going in to bite someone and the mouth opens up wide and kind of shakes around. I think they do that almost with all of their zombies or whatever. And I keep calling it zombie. It's a mummy, ladies and gentlemen. I keep saying Bubba. I keep saying Ho-Tep zombie. It's a mummy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Heard strange noises coming from a house on the hill. So I crept up to the window and looked over.
Oh, damn ghost. Somebody call an exterminator around here. I need these like I need another Tinder date. This year's supernatural horror is The Legend of Hell House.
See, what are we gonna get? Tumble, tumble. Reaching in, what do we got?
Supernatural ghost.
Supernatural
ghost.
Excellent.
Baby.
Yes. Straight from the movie, we have our ghost. Our guest ghost is in the house.
Thank you very much. My name is Chill. I am a non-binary Class 5 free-roaming vapor apparition, John, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Pronouns are they, them.
What do you think of The Legend of Hell House?
Well, I love this movie, John. Aside from the fact that I'm in it, you don't see me because a true a paranormal ghost haunting film will not show the ghosts. The presence is there, and that's what scares you. And this movie has so much, there's so much presence. This movie, if you notice, because I had seen it before and you hadn't, it kicks off so fast. You're meeting the doctor and you're meeting like the guy who owns the house, and they're talking about what's going on, and then the credits start as they show up, and it just hits the ground running from there. So I'm kind of a big fan of this movie, more so of the filmmaking techniques. I think a lot of people took from a lot of the stuff that happened in this movie and ran with it.
This house, it knows we're here.
You know, the payoff is debatable. We can get into that, but I kind of find this movie great, and it's a good Halloween season viewing.
Yeah. This was my first watch, and this is a 1973 or 74?
73.
1973 British-made horror movie. It was rated PG. We will get into whether it lives up to being PG or if it stays within the PG guidelines or not. But this is 1973, so. I enjoyed it. As you said, you like it for the filmmaking aspects. That definitely stood out. It has some really, really unique shots in this. The filmmaker loves close-ups.
And butterfly lighting.
The lighting is just awesome. Every scene has something kind of fun and interesting with the lighting. Whether it's just two people talking, there's interesting lighting in the background, always these pools of light that are just fascinating to look into and see if something's going to be there. But because it is a haunted house movie, I was constantly looking in the background to see if something was going on. But yeah, the story, this is kind of basic for what a haunted house kind of movie is. You have paranormal investigators. They're hired by some old dude. He recently purchased it or whatever, but somebody had gone there 20 years before. Roddy McDowall's character is one of the paranormal investigators who had gone to the house 20 years before. I didn't catch that till later in the movie. With another group of paranormal investigators. Everybody in that group died except for Roddy McDowall. He's the only survivor. And so he's being sent back. Yet he's the one who knows what this house is capable of, what it's done in the past. He's seen it. And these other investigators come in and doubt everything. We have some amazing shots outside this beautiful, real location of this creepy ass looking mansion.
Oh, it's so great.
And the cat, some famous shot. With the cat lurking outside, that is I guess the cover art on some of the boxes.
We did the opening scenes where they arrive at the house in the fog and thick fog, and the black cat walking along. And had the wind been blowing that day and blowing the fog away, I wouldn't have got those sort of images.
You have these mediums, and McDowall's character, who is also, you guys will know him from Fright Night and Fright Night 2. Him and a young woman are the mediums, and one is a physical medium and one is more of the spiritual medium. And the spiritual medium really takes center stage for a large chunk of the movie because
Winona Ryder, is that who we're talking about?
That's who it looks like, is Winona Ryder. Yeah,
All right.
She's got that old-fashioned beauty, and she's great. I think all the acting in this movie is really good. Main ghost is, I mean, some of the dialogue about what this person was all about is disturbing stuff.
Murder, vampirism, cannibalism, drug addiction, alcoholism, sadism, mutilation.
As a spirit, when we first see it manifest through this spiritual medium, they do this thing. And I don't know how much they were doing this back then. They use it a lot now, but they changed the pitch of this young lady's voice to
show us, the audience, that she is possessed, and it's a great creepy scene.
And it's a very violent ghost, which is great. It's the best kind. It's unpredictable, it's violent, you don't understand when it's gonna be upset, what motivates it, and you find that out through the movie. And you know, it's got your typical stuff where these dumbasses are all staying in separate quarters and they got their own rooms, and for some reason they use the dining hall and the kitchen to cook food and drink tea.
Horror movie characters always being dumb.
And they're British, so they got their tea and their fucking cucumber sandwiches.
And their yellow teeth.
Yeah, baby, yeah! Some of these women are like really beautiful until the director gets really close up on them and you see those
when we're
Austin
talking
Powers
about
teeth.
The director loves close-ups. I mean, he's doing dental work sometimes while he's filming this stuff. He's like, he's right up in their grill.
Because the color of this movie is so good, and the lighting.
And the lighting, that butterfly lighting that you were talking about.
Well, not even just every little detail of a shot. Everything is lit perfectly in the background for every scene. And it's all in frame, exactly what needs to be in frame. And like some of the decisions to light things in a weird way, and it's all part of the horror and the terrifying nature of what you're watching.
It adds to that Hammer horror feel of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely the aesthetic they're going for to sell the creepy, atmospheric mansion. You know, like every shot just sells that. The set design, a lot of this stuff probably was shot on sets, but they're very realistic and realized sets. And man, super lavish. Some of these sets with like their red wallpaper and matching red carpet on the floor to matching drapes, matching everything in the room is red, and just insane to like.
Yeah. And even just like the shot selections, like one thing that you and I both just immediately popped up and said was when the wife of the doctor is looking into the chapel, and everything's covered in cobwebs, of course, but there's a realism to it in this movie as opposed to like a black and white or something. And she decides to go through this gate, and where does the camera decide to go? It goes to her feet.
Oh yeah, that great shot.
It opens the gate up at her feet, and it's so different because there's so many what they call overpowering shots, which is a low-angle shot looking up.
Super low-angle shot.
And it's for a reason. It gives off an effect of like a grand scale and epicness to it, and so much, almost all. I think you pointed out almost every single exterior shot of the castle mansion is a low-angle shot. Probably a forced perspective thing to make it look a little bigger.
Yeah, looking more ominous. But they're always framing there's 4 characters really in the movie, and whether it's 3 or 4 of them in the shot, they always have this really interesting way of finding a way to fill the frame with the 3 or 4 characters. But one aspect of the film that I didn't find that interesting was some of its science jargon. I feel like it was a little bit hard to follow sometimes.
Because I don't think the writers knew what they were saying.
Well, it was like these conversations about like physical and mental manifestations, and I was a little lost with some of the science jargon and stuff.
Me too.
And but it was funny. Whatever this machine that showed up, I guess. I'm pretty sure I have a note here that it was Thursday, the 23rd of December at 10:48 a.m. that Dr. Evil delivered his microwave to the house. And it's this giant machine that takes up half of the living room in a mansion, so it's like twice the size of a regular living room. The machine, I guess, microwaves the house to try and get rid of the evil spirits, but it doesn't work.
That's basically what it was doing.
That's exactly what it was doing. But it doesn't work when it shows up. The machine was just hilarious, just thinking of, mid-70s what high-tech science fiction and stuff was supposed to look like.
It did look pretty ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that was hilarious that Ben pointed out, and once he said it, we couldn't stop seeing it. In the finale, you have Roddy McDowall having a showdown with the evil spirit, screaming at it and trying to convince it of something. I don't even know, because we were laughing too hard trying to pay attention to what looks like a deep fake of Jim Carrey. I mean, if any of you out there get a chance to watch this movie, think of that in the finale when you got Roddy McDowall screaming and screeching.
He literally gave off the expression, "Hey guys, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later."
Hey guys. Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
So for a horror movie, let's get into, so it's rated PG by the MPAA here in the United States. I'm guessing in the UK in 1973 it was a 15 or 16, probably not a 17, because then it would have got
could be a video nasty, probably.
But so it gets a low rating, but there's violent, gruesome deaths. There's a lot, most of it is, so much of the movie is an unnatural sexual nature, sexual desires.
Naked, drunk, fighting.
Sexual dialogue, close-up of breasts, close-up of like orgasmic behavior.
Yeah, and you could call that ghost rape.
Whoa! Did somebody say ghost rape? Oh my God! What are we talking about here?
Whoa, Charlie Harper! Oh. Welcome to the show, man. I didn't expect to see you here.
Oh!
Hey, happy Halloween!
Oh, happy Halloween! Oh boy!
Well, yes, we are talking about ghost rape.
What are we talking about here?
We got another movie on the mixers with ghost rape. Apparently, this is the Legend of Hell House, and
never heard of it, John.
Man, a couple women getting freaky with the spookies.
How many women? That's all I care about.
Well, at one point there's a discussion of a threesome.
Oh boy!
Even later in the movie, I think there's a discussion of a threesome with a dead chick, so a little necrophiliac going on.
So even though I've never heard of this movie, as I just previously said, I heard that there is a scene in this movie where there is a little bit of a ghost trying to persuade a young medium lady into slipping into the sheets, shall we say. Yeah, I'm all for it.
I definitely saw those sheets slipping back in the movie for sure.
So when I saw that quick scene, which hypothetically I saw, we'll say, he is kind of promising her that she will be what you call a quick in and out. I'm gonna slip inside you real quick, put some of that ectoplasma in you.
There was a ghost! There's ectoplasm!
And then I'm gonna creep out the front door and let you live your young, beautiful, medium life.
Little wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, but when you watch the scene, John, it doesn't play out that way.
No.
If you were to ask me, he gave her a little bit of ghost roofies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what I call it. Never heard of it.
We just want to remind you this movie is rated PG.
Yes.
So, I don't know, that's pushing some boundaries in my opinion. Yes. A lot of the stuff in this movie pushes those boundaries. But hey, we had a good time watching this.
And I love the Euro women, but boy, they don't like toothpaste. Just saying. Just saying. Oh!
Yeah, there's some funky smiles in this movie.
Yes.
Did you notice the art direction in this movie?
I did.
What was the direction given to the art director?
Boobies, John.
Boobs everywhere.
Everywhere. So I've heard. I've never seen it.
Every painting on every wall is a nude painting. There may have been some male nudity in those paintings as well. I couldn't tell a couple times. Whether it was the paintings on the walls, the statues everywhere throughout the house, it's all nudes, it's all boobs everywhere.
So for a movie that is not R-rated, which is the only kind of movie I enjoy, there is lots of scantily clad women, not just posted up on the walls. There are some beautiful silhouettes of boobies and nipples, and also rear ends, and really good 1973 European hips.
Yeah. A couple perky ones in there.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah.
I agree.
Perky silhouette.
The cold European countryside, John.
I feel like my drink has kicked in pretty well. Thanks for showing up, Charlie.
Yeah.
All right. And thank you, everybody out there, for showing up to all of our videos this Halloween season for the Halloween Mixer.
Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody.
From all of us at Cinema Gulp,
we drink your cinema.
Yeah.
Whoa, that was a trip. Guess I did too much antacid in the 60s. Anyway, thanks all you cinema drunks for joining us for the 7th annual Halloween Mixer. Unpleasant dreams.
Action.
Oh, fucking ghosts. I don't know if I should say that, actually.
Does you feel like you're on Sesame Street?
Yeah, I do. They're cool.
The puppets are laughing.
Right, okay. Damn ghosts. Oh no. You guys ready for another one?
You said